Hello, friends. My name is Elle, and this is David, and you are joining us for a deep dive from Grow Students Curriculum. What we're doing in this deep dive is we are looking at the summer quarter of Volume 5 of Grow Students. What we do in the summer every year is we focus on the spiritual habit of sharing your story. So, what we're going to do in this deep dive is we're going to first look at a discipleship activity that is all about that spiritual habit. But then we're also going to talk about the events that we give you inside of Grow for the summer quarter, and we're going to walk through one of them in depth. So the idea of this deep dive is to give you like a big picture of what these resources look like so that you are prepared. But also we're going to get a little bit detailed on some of the specifics just to help you like make the most of all the stuff that you get and to make sure you don't miss any important details. So David, tell us more about what we're doing.
Yes, just like Elle said, this is for you to prepare and to be productive and just to be aware of what's going on and coming up next in the quarter. So this will be a good head start for you to just start thinking and start brainstorming about how you're going to execute this discipleship activity and this event. So how this is going to go. And if you're not a Grow user, don't worry. You can just kind of spy on our conversation, listen into kind of what we're talking about. You can even feel free to try to do this event yourself if you want to try to do something similar. You can totally do that if you wanted to. But how this deep dive is going to go is that first we're going to do an overview of the discipleship activity, which is called the Pass It On Challenge. Then we'll give you guys some tips about the Pass It On Challenge and how to make that the best you possibly can do for your ministry and for your context. Then we'll switch over to the event and give you an overview of the event called Splash Bash, which is going to be a super fun summer event. And then we'll give you tips on that event and how to make that the best for your ministry and for your context.
So the first thing we want to look at is the Pass It On Challenge. This is our discipleship activity for the summer quarter. Like we mentioned, the focus for the whole summer quarter is the spiritual habit of sharing your story. And so, this is all about evangelism. And this actual discipleship activity pairs really well with our series that is called Pass It On. So we would definitely recommend using those things in conjunction with each other if you can. So make sure you check that out. That is our recommended series for the month of May. But honestly, with everything with Grow, you can do this at any time of the year that you would like. And so, David, talk to us about the Pass It On Challenge. What is it? How are people using it? And what is the point? What are we doing here?
Yes. So right off the bat, the point is for students just to learn their story, hear other people's stories, and then share their story as well. And when we're talking about story, we're talking about their faith story specifically. Just kind of like how they either came to know Jesus, how they want to share the love of God with other people. So that's what this challenge is all about. And so this is like the title says, it's all challenges. So the very first challenge that we're asking our students to do is to listen to someone else's faith story. So this is where you're going to challenge your students to kind of find someone, a mentor, most likely try to find someone older than them. It could be a peer as well if they want to do that, if that's most comfortable. But essentially, we just want them to listen to someone who can share their faith story with them, just to kind of hear like what it sounds like. Oh, this is what it sounds like when someone tells their faith story. Oh, this is what it feels like. This is what it sounds like, just so they can get familiar with it. And then they'll actually get to reflect on their own faith story. Maybe they just kind of will think back to their lives, think about moments and specific moments in their lives and times when they experienced the love of God, when they felt like God was tugging at their heart, or maybe they haven't experienced that yet and they're just kind of trying to wrestle with, okay, maybe this actually did happen. And so yeah, just kind of more a little reflection on their life, and then they'll actually go and tell their faith story. And after they've reflected, they'll go share it with either a peer, maybe that mentor again, or a trusted adult that they asked the first time, just to get some practice as well if it's their first time sharing their faith story. So that's the basic of the challenge. Listen, reflect, and then share is essentially how you can break that down. And then as far as how you want to do this format, it's so flexible, so customizable. You can do it any way you want. This is fantastic. So you can either do this all online, like just do it all on social media and just post a lot of posts and stories on Instagram, or if you do TikTok, you can do that as well. But you can do it all online based. You can do it all in person. And when you do it in person, you can do it like over the course of a couple weeks. You can do it all one time and make it a special event. Like Al said, you could do it like as like a kind of like a secondary to the Pass It On series. So like you can teach a little bit of the series and then do a little bit of the challenge as well with it. So yeah, you can do it in person, and you can even do it hybrid as well. You could do like part of it online and part of it in person. So like you can do some of this listening stuff in person and then do the reflecting by themselves, and then they can post stuff on their social media. Students can do share their story on social media. So a wide variety of ways that they can do this challenge. It's very flexible, very customizable. So do it as best as you can for your context in your ministry. And then, like I said, the time frame, it can be a 1 day event, 1 week, or over 3 weeks. Very customizable, very friendly to what your needs are in your ministry. So yeah, that's the Pass It On Challenge in a nutshell. Like, feel free to ask us questions if you need to ask us questions and to just kind of unpack things a little bit more. But that's it. That's Pass It On Challenge. All right, here's the tips for the Pass It On Challenge. Just kind of little things to make you this challenge a little bit better, a little easier for your context as well. So, tip number one is do the experience any way you want. So, first, you can do it with your volunteers. That could be a fun little way to kind of just test it out, see how it goes. You can do it in small groups. And just like I said, you can do it any way possible. So, either way, we hope your students will connect with God in ways that they're not used to. So, this will be a fantastic way just to kind of customize it, do it any way you want.
Tip number two is to broaden your definition of faith story. I mean, I don't know about you, but at least for me, like when I was a teenager, I was under the impression that in order to like share my faith story, it needed to be like really clear, had like a clear beginning, middle, and end. Like I needed to have like definitive moments that I could like point to as being like, oh, this is the moment like God changed my life. And that's a lot of pressure. Maybe some students can do that very easily, but there's chances are good that like a lot of students can't. And so you don't want to like accidentally exclude anybody from this activity. What we would really challenge you to do is to realize that like every single teenager in your ministry has a faith story, even if their faith story is still very much in progress. So maybe just be really particular to like explain that to your students as you're kicking off this challenge, and just help them see like, hey, even if like you still don't really know what you think about Jesus entirely, like you do have a faith story, even if it's just in progress. So that's something that you can share. And honestly, like just sharing those stories, even when they're like imperfect and incomplete, is a tool for helping students grow spiritually, because it is forcing them to put words around their experiences and forcing them to put words around their beliefs and what God has been doing in their life so far. And so it's a really good practice, even if they feel like their story is like not compelling or not interesting or not finished yet. So broaden that definition for yourself, but also for your students. That's tip number two.
And then finally, tip number three is pair the challenge with the Pass It On series. And so this goes actually very well with just what El just said. So the series will actually talk about like, what is your faith story? How can you uncover your faith story? And so it'll go so well with this challenge, in the fact that you'll be able to teach a little bit about faith stories, good news, evangelism, and all how that connects. And then you'll be able to actually take it and actually give them a challenge to do so. So we give you a little bit of that in the series, but this challenge goes just the extra step and just the extra mile to make it a lot more hands-on. And it's a whole discipleship activity. So they actually get to learn and grow in their faith, no matter where or what step they are in their journey of faith. So I think it will go very well together, and we can't wait to see how it goes well with each other.
Love it. And by the way, on the topic of evangelism, we're going to start talking about events in just a second. But every year inside of Grow Students, if you are subscribed to the Grow Your Ministry version of Grow Students, then you actually get event guides for two mission experiences. One is a local mission experience, and it kind of teaches you like how to do that if you've never done it before. And one is an international mission experience, and again, that teaches you how to do that if you've never done it before. And both of these come with a set of like devotionals that you can do with your students while you are on your mission trip or mission experience. So make sure you check those out if you haven't before. You get those every year inside of Grow Students with like new graphics and all of that good stuff, new devotionals. So take a look at that. We also give you, we're not going to talk about it today, but we give you a full summer camp event guide as well. So if you are trying to put on your own summer camp, or maybe you like go to a camp, but you have to bring your own teaching, we give you a full summer camp experience, including all of the teaching for a 5-day summer camp. So make sure you check that out. But what we're going to do in this deep dive is to just talk about one of the summer events that we give you, because every summer in Grow Students, we give you just one like really fun, just for fun kind of event. And this time it is called Splash Bash, which is just a big, fun water extravaganza situation. If your church is using Grow Kids, you actually have another kind of fun, silly water related event for kids that is called Aqua Ball. So maybe you guys could share some of your supplies potentially. So, David, why don't you tell us what is going on with Splash Bash? I almost said Aqua Ball. That's the other one. That's for kids. This is Splash Bash, different thing. Tell us all about it.
Yes, so Splash Bash is essentially just one huge giant water party. And so in the resource, I'm not going to name all the activities, but we give you a lot of activities, like enough to fill maybe like 2 days worth of Splash Bash. But you
Ooh,
don't
an
want to do 2 days worth
all-nighter,
of Splash.
an all-nighter
That's a
splash bash.
that's a long Splash Fest. So just pick a few that are your favorites. I'll tell you some of my favorites, but definitely look through the list of activities. We give you so with the activities, we give you like a what to do, what to prep, and how to do it. And so that is all there in that resource, so that you're all set to go. Amazon links for you to order, make it super easy to get you the supplies as well. But just some of my favorite ones, we have an Alka-Seltzer shootout where you give students Alka-Seltzer tablets and you kind of put a little hole in them and make a little necklace, or you can put them on their foreheads or something, wherever. And you give them like water guns, and you can just try to like play tag with the Alka Seltzer. And if your Alka Seltzer dissolves, then you're out of the game, and the last person with their tablet still wins. I think that's super fun, super creative. I think kids will be super fun with that. And then there's water balloon volleyball. I'm a little partial to it because I love playing volleyball. But essentially, it's kind of like you're just playing volleyball, and you take like a blanket or a towel, and you kind of toss like the water balloons to each other. Super fun time. But the really big main event is the activity called Splash Bash, and what this event is called after. But essentially, it's just this huge, just like water fight. You can just kind of make it a little bit more fun, where you make it like musical chairs kind of style, where you're just playing and there's music going. But then if you stop the music, then everyone has to freeze. So I mean, this is what eventually the event would turn into, like if you did like some sort of water game kind of night type of thing, where it's just like everyone just grab a water gun, grab water balloons and sprinklers and all that sort of stuff, the hose, and just start spraying everyone. The goal is essentially just to get the most wet you can possibly get. So yeah, it's super fantastic, and I think this will be great. Like I said, look through all the activities. We got all the resources there, and I think it's going to be super fantastic and super fun.
Love it. And with all of our events that we give you inside of Grow Students, we give you like all the things you need to make it happen, short of the actual supplies and volunteers. We can't give you those in your downloads. But we give you all the instructions. We give you like decor ideas, food ideas, all sorts of fun stuff. So make sure you check that out. And now let's just cover a few helpful tips to help you make this event successful.
Okay, so tip number one for Splash Bash is focus on relationships. And so, why do I say focus on relationships? It's because this event is supposed to be super fun. I think you can invite a lot of people and have your students invite a lot of their friends to come to this event. And so, you could possibly meet a lot of first time visitors for this event. And so, that's why I say focus on relationships. So, not only just your students, but also your first time guests that visit your student ministry as well, but also your adults. Like, this is a great time for your adults and your volunteers to get to know students. I think one really good tip with this, with focus on relationships, is if you got like summer mission trips or summer camps or retreats over the summer, grab some of those adults that you've recruited for those trips and have them here at this event, so they can kind of start getting to know your students, especially if you do this at the very beginning of the summer. That way they can start forming relationships, getting to know the students. And so by the time they get to the trips, they're not like kind of these strangers where they have to start kind of from scratch, but they already know or have at least seen each other and that sort of thing. So that's definitely one of our first tips, is focus on relationships.
Yeah, and the second tip is related, which is be intentional about the volunteers that you recruit for this event. David just gave a couple of ideas of like ways you can be strategic about the volunteers that you have here. But yeah, I would just encourage you to like think about the big picture of your summer ministry. What's going on? Like, do you if you have mission trips going on, if you have summer camp going on, like who are the adults who are involved in all of these other things that you have going on, and how can you get them to this event? Not because this event is like more important than the others, but just because it's another opportunity for you to see these adults kind of interacting with each other and see them interacting with teenagers. I mean, listen, sometimes you need to see some of these adults like interacting with teenagers before you let them go to a foreign country with teenagers, because sometimes there's going to be a couple issues that you need to kind of just like smooth out the edges on. You know what I mean? A couple problem volunteers. You get it. Keep your eye on how all of that is going. But then also, like, it's just a great opportunity for those volunteers to interact with each other as well, and to build some relationships before they go to summer camp or go to this missions trip. We all know that on those like long extended trips, man, it can test your patience. There's a lot going on. Those are long weeks, and so the more relationship building that you can develop, the more equity you can get in these relationships in advance, the better. So think about that and try to get those people here just so that you guys can hang out and keep building relationships.
Yes, and then tip number 3 is customize your own schedule. Like I said, we've given you a lot of activities, so feel free to kind of adjust this to how best it fits your needs. If you do like a summer tradition of sorts in your youth group that you do, and it's like a staple and everyone looks forward to, feel free to include that in this event and just kind of put that as a spot in there, and then do some of the other activities. You can do dinner as well, and like add snacks, and so you can have that at the beginning, or you can have that at the end, however you want. Definitely just be able to customize your schedule. We're all about having it be able to customize to your ministry, your context, even customize the place where you host this event. This could be at your church, at your park, at someone's house, or something like that. So yeah, feel free to customize whatever you need for this event.
Love it. And then the last one is maybe switch up the location. I mean, if you've spent the entire year doing events at your church, like, cool, maybe that's the best place for you to do it. But, it's summertime and it's kind of a fun time to try some new things. So maybe think creatively about other venues that you could potentially use for this event. Maybe you have a family in your church who has like a really sweet backyard with a cool pool that you want to do some of these activities at. Or maybe there's like a park in your area where you could do this, which could also open up some really cool opportunities to just have more of your community involved. There's all sorts of things you can do, but maybe your church is the best spot, or maybe you could just think a little more creatively and try something new just to keep things, spiced up. So try it. And I think that's it. Those are the end of our tips. And friends, thank you so much for joining us for another deep dive. We hope you feel so much more equipped and prepared to handle this discipleship activity and this event. We are really excited to see what you do with these ideas. We say this a lot, but we love it when you customize the things that we give you inside of Grow. Everything that we give you is meant for you to take and to make your own, to remix it, to add new ideas, to like change it up. Whatever you want to do is cool with us. We think that's awesome. It's kind of like a way for us to collaborate with each other without have to like sit in meetings together. So please enjoy, do whatever you want with all of these resources we give you. We trust you and are excited to see what you do. If you do have some like really fun ideas, or you just take like cool pictures or videos or have cool stories of how these things have worked out in your ministry, we would love to see and hear them. You can tag us on Instagram, or you can post them in our Facebook group. You can find us by searching for Stuff You Can Use, a youth ministry community. And there's a really cool group of Grow users inside that group who just love to kind of swap ideas and just get inspiration from each other. So come join the club. It's pretty fun in there. Friends, that's it. Thank you again. We will see you at the next deep dive. See you later.